Welcome to Lifestyles of the Strange and Exotic Random Book Review, and today I am reviewing Book 4 in the Stella Hunter Mystery Series, Arachne's Challenge by Edita A. Petrick. Now the first three I got as a review copy, and my reviews should already be out by this point, and I enjoyed them so much that I actually purchased this one. And I'm keeping my eye out on the next book, which should be coming out November 16th, or by the time you've already seen this, maybe. So, the author considers herself kind of in the vein of Dan Brown. And like I said before, it's sort of a calmer version of Dan Brown, where you have a male and female couple, kind of dealing with the supernatural, but it's mixed in with sort of real life kind of issues in the world, especially this one. And it's very entertaining. I've enjoyed the book so much. I have enjoyed the books thus far. So much so my tongue wants to go blah blah blah. The only major problem I have with the books is the fact that the main issue in the first book, Gabriel, was an important part of the first book. That's the whole reason the first book existed. Well, they solved his problem and kind of took him in. Only every other book after the fact go, "Hey Gabe, how are you? Enjoy your vacation, because we ain't seeing you again till the next book apparently." They lit in the first chapter. They mention Gabriel. They're sitting around the table, and they send him off. Bye bye. For once, I would like to have Gabriel to be an active part of, what's going on in the world. It just annoys the hell out of me. I mean, I know he's a kid, but still, it's like, why bother even mentioning him in the books then? It's just, I don't know. But that, hint, hint, author, And again, like the other books, even if you haven't read the previous ones, you can read this as a standalone. They do bring in, characters from the other books, but they're somewhat mentioned in passing, but they're in the moment in this book, so they don't rely on what they did in the previous books. So it's not necessarily important, because they kind of explain what the characters do anyway. Like, you have your FBI agent, you have the friend of the main male lead there. So it's not distracting. I do suggest reading the entire series, but if you just randomly pick them up off and about, it won't be a hindrance to you. And you do get to know the characters pretty well right off, because they're so well written. You don't kind of, even with the first book, it didn't take me long to get used to Carter and to get used to Stella. It was like instantaneous. So the same thing with this one. And it is a nice continual thing. It's not, it doesn't stop and start, so it does have a nice flow to it. Not quite halfway does the supernatural part come into it. So, you kind of start on one track, and then you go into the other track. Which kind of, it was like, what the hey? This book was just sort of too much of a good thing. And it was kind of neat to have the role reversal between Stella and Carter, though. That was kind of an interesting look at things. But the way her books are written, she's, like I said, previously, she's like a Dan Brown, where you have kind of the supernatural in with the realistic. But there wasn't enough of the supernatural, and the supernatural didn't quite fit with the realistic. Now, there were 3 different plot things going. Let's see. You had the supernatural part with Arachne. Then you had the sort of disease thing. What was the other one? They did kind of mention this. Oh, then you had the museum black market type thing. And there were these like major plot lines that sort of intersected, but they were just unnecessary. It was like, just focus on the Arachne thing, and that was enough, because that would kind of be in the same vein as the previous books. And when the supernatural part kind of happened, it was just like, oh, we're suddenly into supernatural. It's like, what? It's like, it just sort of slapped you in the head, and then suddenly we're like invisible jeeps and spiders, and it's like, how many books am I reading at once here? In the thing too, it'll go on like the disease track. Oh, and then the tech track. There's a whole thing with like an Xbox. So you have like 4 plot lines. She'd spend some time on one, then that would get kind of lost, and then it kind of, but it was like it would flow in between the plot lines, but you'd kind of forget what was happening in the previous plot lines because there's so many to keep a track of. And the thing too, at the end, it does sort of sequel bait for the next one. It kind of wrapped up, but not so much where it was like a nice little bow at the end, but it just sort of stopped suddenly, like maybe there's supposed to be more books, but she kind of condensed them all, and it was just sort of a strange read. So I'm not quite sure if it's going to flow into the next book, if it's going to just be a whole different thing. So this is kind of my least favorite of the batch of them. So I'm still not even quite sure the whole Arachne thing. It left like questions, more questions than it resolved, and then what they resolved was too sudden, so you're kind of like, what just happened? So if you've read the other books, this is a good read. If you're kind of pick and choosing, I'd maybe kind of skip this one. So yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with this one. I enjoyed the read, but I kept going like, what's going on? How many things can I keep a track of? I mean, and in my brain, you know, goes like this, so I'm kind of okay. So that was the Stella Hunter Mysteries Book 4. Arachne's Challenge. So thank you for watching. Do remember to comment, rate, share, and subscribe. There's always room for one more at the Strange and Exotic. See you next time. Bye.